Konnichiwa, and welcome to the 34th podcast of the Rowan County Anime Group. My name is Robert Clyde Allen. I am the co-president of this club. Now, there's an old saying that I'm going to quote before I get started on this. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever is left, however I probably seem, must be the truth. That is a quote from Sherlock Holmes, and the writer was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. In a previous podcast, I had talked about a little bit about what's real in Japan and what is not. The symbol that you see on top of my head, and I hope the camera is allowing me to get this symbol, means I shall win. Now, students will wear this, from what I've been told, during test times and stuff, to concentrate on their homework and stuff when they're taking a big test. I hope that the fact is true, and this is me, I shall win. I hate to think I'm wearing a thing saying bonsai on it. Another little fact, Japan sells what you call shaved ice. Now this symbol right here, pendant, if you were in Japan, would say we're selling shaved ice at our store. And in the anime series Battle Dolls Angelic Lair, they do mention selling shaved ice, which is our equivalent to what we would over here, and I guess in the United States, be like a snow cone or something like that, where you have different color flavors and you add it onto the ice. Now, this little fella is called the Cat of Good Fortune. Now, I have seen him many times in backgrounds and stuff in plenty of animes. Shouty Shouty is probably the most one that stands out in my mind right now. And this is called the Cat of Good Fortune. He's supposed to be the Cat of Good Fortune. Now, I do read a lot of books and stuff, but I also too check out documentaries whenever I can. I bought this at the last Public Library book sale, and this is called Power in the Pacific, Japan Comes First. Now this story, this is a documentary that takes place a little bit just right after World War II. And it goes from World War II to 1970 as far as a documentary. It gives a nice, I think a very good, accurate description of that time period from like 1940s to 1970. Now, I also too believe in going into used bookstores and when our library has book sales, and I have picked up this little jewel for, believe it or not, less than $1. And this is a guide to Japan, and I have read through it as much as I could on Tokyo. Well, this one's on Tokyo. And I try to get as much information I can. Some of it is very factual, and it does give you an idea. Now, there is a problem when you go and you get a book that, let's say, was made in the 1970s or the 1980s. This is 2000. So some information may be outdated. I remember one time I was told, and I read in an older book, that Japan had no age of consent. I went and I talked about it, and a friend of mine wrote back and said, Robert, you're wrong. Japan does have age consent. The age of consent to marry in Japan for a female is 16 years old, male it's 18. I guess they're still thinking that girls mature faster than boys, and there's that big of a difference, but there is an age of consent. Now, that doesn't mean they still don't have prearranged marriages. Now, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. So, Japan, as far as I can understand, is a very sophisticated country. Recently, I was listening to public television broadcast, and they were talking about, well, over here we've been talking about getting hydrogen cells to run our cars. Well, the Japanese are looking like, well, hydrogen cells is ridiculous to run a car. It better be running a home. So that's a different type of thinking altogether. I have been told many times when if a person is from a different company, they will go in and they will first tell the name of their company, who their advisor is, and then introduce themselves. Where in the United States, we would go and we would introduce ourselves, tell the company's name and who our advisor is. like I said, different types of thinking going along those lines. Another little book that I have checked out many times is this one here, Getting Inside Japan. And it does give a history and maps and stuff of the country, and I try to, whenever I can, read through it, but it is very difficult. For example, in a historical stance, there is a god in Japan called Roaring Thunder, and believe it or not, the United States did not come up with Roaring Thunder. Japan had that deity for a long time. And there is a mention of Roaring Thunder in Battle Dolls and Jelly Lair, a story done by Clamp. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this little presentation of what's real and what's not in Japan. And our next meeting is July 17th in front of the Books A Million store at 5 o'clock. At 5:30, we will go over to a person's home to watch The Great Teacher Only Secret. Also, too, this July, we are having a display set up at the Rowan Club Library and a tribute to the late Carl Masick. Also, too, let's not forget that in July 24th, FYE at Concord Mills Mall, we'll be having a special anime day at 2 o'clock. I think I've said that enough times. I feel like a parrot. This is Robert Clyde Allen, wishing you a very nice day. Goodbye.